Thank you very much. I'm Hillary Shelton, Senior Vice President for Advocacy and Director of the NAACP's Washington Bureau. The two key issues that happened at the convention for us that are so important to moving our agenda forward. We heard many of the highlights of issues and concerns that we want to be addressed, but there are a number of things we do to first educate, train, tool, and engage our members to help move our agenda forward. As we look towards the next 100 years, it means we want to make sure that our folks are prepared and ready in this democratic system to be actively engaged as not observers, but participants in the democratic process. And with that, we're going to have workshops. Workshops will address issues like health care and health reform, health disparities, financial literacy, the crisis in Darfur, all the international issues, also issues of American criminal justices and its disparities, and how it treats African Americans and others throughout our society. We'll have workshops that will focus on the advertising industry, election protection and reform, college financial empowerment, as well as making sure every child has the opportunity to go as far as their minds are taking as opposed to their pocketbooks. We want to make sure that the Law Enforcement Integrity Act, that is, addressing the issue of police brutality and racial profiling, still taking place on our streets, and how we organize as a community and work together to address these very important concerns. We're talking about issues coming forward right away, like election reform, making sure every American is able to register, to go forward and cast an unvetted vote and have that vote counted, and the 2010 census, which is now right before us, and making sure that every American is counted as to determine how very well we're going to be able to provide financing and support various programs throughout our country. We'll do a process. The only issue that's actually driven by the Constitution of the NAACP is what will happen on Tuesday, as was mentioned before, as we set our policy. One of the things that we were critical of those who would not come to me before is that they don't understand the process that happens here. There are over 200 membership units throughout the United States, Italy, Germany, Korea, and Japan, bringing issues important to our communities into the organization, meeting at this national convention to decide what we must do together as we move forward. And with that, we will have resolutions that will be debated, discussed, and voted on around the issue of affirmative action and other equal opportunity programs, the criminal justice system, the ways to address the disparities in prisoners' rights and the concerns around ex-offenders, and making sure that the death penalty gets addressed as it ought to be in our society. We're going to talk about issues like economic development at a time of economic crisis, making sure that we can engage ourselves and utilize the stimulus resources that are now coming from Washington. Education reform is a big issue for us. That ladder that takes us out of poverty into great heights. We want to make sure we address issues like healthcare and healthcare disparities. International affairs resolutions are also coming before us around global slavery, small arms and armaments, African development, trade, and so forth. Issues of things like election reform, making sure that those who have served time in our prisons are able to now be able to cast an unvetted vote and become part of our mainstay. Issues like labor, making sure that those that want to organize a union in a democratic fashion are able to do it without interference and intimidation. And finally, looking forward, none of these issues means very much, even after passing the policies, if we don't have a judiciary that very clearly interprets the law in a way in which the Congress and the lawmaking bodies intend. And that's why we're excited about how we'll be planning and prepared to make sure that when Sotomayor takes the stand on Monday, that the NAACP is organized and engaged like never before to make sure she becomes the next Supreme Court justice.